If you're looking for a Star Wars game with sheep instead of humans, boy, are you gonna like Space Sheep.
Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
So I guess I should get this out of the way at the beginning. Space Sheep has an unauthorized parody of Star Wars on it. For whatever reason, it's nothing to do with Star Wars. You never feel like you're playing Star Wars, but I guess it was a way to sell this abstract game. So it's a cooperative game where you're trying to get these two pieces on the board together. And you do so by playing cards down. And that would be very easy because with enough time, you would just be able to accomplish it. But this game has a real-time element into it. You're going to have sand timers that will be flipped over at certain points. And when the timer runs out, they will gobble up some cards. And once all the cards are gone, you lose. So you're kind of in a mad rush to do this. You play cards that will flip the timer and give you some extra time, blah, 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 blah. So a few things you're going to have to like to get into this game is the real-time aspect. Some people are really not going to like that, myself included. I'm not really into real-time games. I kind of like the thought process of thinking things out, although I'm very much against AP. There's no AP in this game because everything is happening in real time. You got to be in a hurry, and that's going to turn some people off too. The Star Wars parody thing is very weird to be on this game. I'm not the only one to comment on that. It just doesn't even fit the game. You know, like if Zaya had a Star Wars parody on it, that would make sense. But for this game, I don't know what they were thinking here. And it kind of takes away from the game. It's distracting at the most. The Space Sheep thing is just really weird on top of it. Otherwise, it's an okay little cooperative game that's fallen off through time. The real time is going to turn people off, like I said. The parody thing is kind of weird. But other than that, I mean, the game is a decent game. It's kind of fun to play, but it's so abstract, I think it almost alienates a lot of people. And it feels like it's one of those things, you ever met somebody that everything they do just kind of alienates people? I feel like this does the same thing. It's just alienate as much as possible. And I'm not sure that the package itself works, but if you're looking for a budget purchase and the game sounds entertaining, I think there are some people who will get a lot out of this game. It's one I will lukewarm recommend, probably tell you to try before you buy. For me, it's going to be a purge. I don't like the real-time aspect. It's not going to play for us, so it has to leave. Here is Space Sheep. Use the Force. This is a sheep parody of Star Wars. They really want you to know that it is a parody, because they tell you right there. It plays 1 to 8 people, 20 to 30 minutes. Open it up, you're going to see no insert whatsoever. You're going to have a bag here, which you will have these sheep that will be in here of different colors. They're cute. You're going to have a sand timer. These are normal. I don't really care for those. You're going to have some cards. These cards are okay. And they're nothing to write home about. They feel pretty good. They're kind of bend a little bit, but they last for a long time. You're going to have a bunch of cardboard pieces that you will use. These are pretty hard. The artwork is just repeated in different colors. It's kind of bland. You're going to see the defense console. And on the bottom here is going to be your rule book, which we'll take a look at. Lots of cardboard in here telling you what to do. Not a lot of artwork on here. It's okay. I think what's here is very nicely done, but I don't know that this parody is going to be for you. Here's the rule book. You're going to see the Star Wars reference here. You're going to have a picture of all the components, which is always a big, huge plus. I love that quite a bit. Then you're going to see the setup over here. This is the family game version that you'll see here. And then examples that will be provided. Not a whole lot of artwork, lots of text in here. The defense against the wolf. And then you're going to have the advanced game, which will play 1 to 8 players in case you wanted to play this by yourself as you'll go through. And the end of the game and how you win. And of course, more Star Wars parodies. Kind of laughable, but it's okay. As for the rulebook to learn the game, I think it does a pretty good job. I wish there would have been a few more pictures in here, a little bit more color. But I think the system is easy enough that you'll be able to figure it out rather quickly. So here is the setup of the game you're going to have for a 4-player in the family game. You're going to have the 4 areas set up. You're going to randomly set these out. These also be randomly set up. You have the defense calculator and your tactics here. You got your sand timer and your dice, and you are ready to play the family game. So what's going to happen on a turn is you will flip this over. You will roll the dice, and you will move the wolf clockwise that many spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. So to start the game, what you're going to do is you will flip over the sand timer. You will roll the dice, and the fleet commander will move the wolf, which is this token right here. It's a different color in the rule book, that number of spaces, clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he will end his turn there. Then players
who drew 4 tactics cards at the beginning of the game, will take turns playing these and activating the different areas on the board. So the first possible action you have is to play a tactic card matching the color, then you activate that system. In this case, blue. I could either move the sheep, move 3 behind, 1, 2, 3, I can move him there, or I can move this little Millennium Falcon, the ship spot, 1, 2, 3. So I could move him, say there, or I could have moved the ship there. If both colors matched, if I had like the blue and the blue that were there, then I could move them together 3 spaces. That's something that you could do. So, to show you how this would work, I'd play the blue one, 1, 2, 3. I would move this. It can only be 1 sheep and 1 shepherd at each spot, which would make this go to the spot that doesn't have one, which happens to be the one I came from. The second possible action I have is to move the shepherd 1 space. So I'd play the blue card just like I did before, and I can move the shepherd up 1 space clockwise, but there can only be 1 there, so I would take the shepherd that is there and put him on the empty tile without a shepherd. The third possible thing I could have done with this card, instead of moving and deactivating the system or moving the shepherd 1 space, is I could have played this face down when nobody could see it on top of the defense council. Then, when my turn is over, I will draw up to 4 cards, and my turn will end. Now, anytime on my turn, wherever the wolf is, I can play a card of that color, and I can simply knock him over, and that will help us in a defense against this wolf. This wolf is the bad guy that's kind of playing against us, if you will. Now keep in mind this sand timer is always going while we're playing the game. We do not want this to run out. So at any point in time, the commander can flip this over if the wolf is on his side. I would then roll the 8-sided die, and I would advance this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots, and I would stand him up on his space. Then, if somebody wanted to, they could play a yellow card on their turn and knock the wolf down. As long as he's standing, we cannot flip this over. If this ever runs out of sand and we did not go through that process, then we would have to give up the number of cards listed on this space. First thing we would do is we would discard any cards from the defense console. So that would be 1. So in this case, we'd only need to discard 3 more cards. The remainder 3 cards would come from the tactics pile. If there isn't enough there, then it would come from the player's hands. Now the players win if all of the shepherds end up in their correct color. So the yellow would end up over here, for example. And the players will lose if they have to give up cards and there aren't enough cards to give up, and then they would lose the game. Wah wah. So the advanced game is going to change a few things up. The advanced game is going to make it harder. It's going to make it harder by adding more systems. Now there's more things that you have to do in the amount of time, and there are up to 8 that are included to make the game a little bit harder. The game also recommends using less of these tactic cards. That's another way to make the game more advanced or just more difficult. There are also additional chits that are included in the game, where you can get rid of the 4 and put the 7 on it, so whenever the wolf fights back, you have to give up more cards. 7 is greater than 4, 7 is harder, so that will make the game more difficult. There are also these allegiance cards you can play with that will give you defenders and infiltrators. This almost gives it like a Avalon or resistance charm to it. I don't particularly like to play like this. I prefer to just kind of play the random game, the family style game, with more of this stuff, be more advanced. I don't particularly enjoy this very much, but if you wanted to, some people will be playing as the bad guys or the wolves, and some people will be the sheep. So that's how you play the game. The majority of the game is going to be played, I think the real version of the game is going to be played trying to beat the timer, trying to keep your cards moving, and trying to get the sheep matched up on each of the spots. I would start out playing it the normal family game. I would add more of these in for variety. I would then add in different ones of these that can make it a little bit more difficult. And I would start there and kind of add things in as you go, what seems like the most fun. These Allegiance cards, I didn't find that version very much fun. I think if I was going to play a game like this, I would just play Battlestar Galactica or something else. But that's where I would start out with Space Sheep.
Who should buy this game? Fans of sheep, I guess? I think you need to like real-time cooperative games. I think there needs to be an abstract element to it. If the Star Wars parody means anything to you, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I think kind of have to come together to make this a niche game. But if you're looking for a cooperative game that's a little bit different, this could definitely fit the bill for you, and one I would probably tell you to try before you buy. Going to be a purge for me, though.